Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the December 10th, 2025 Abington Finance Committee meeting. We are continuing our meetings with department heads tonight. We have our town manager for the moment with us, perhaps for the last time. And we will tonight be getting a general update and then meeting with the golf, library, and fire departments. We'll go through standing business, liaison reports, correspondence, there's none, and review of minutes, there are also none. And then discuss when our next meeting is going to be, and that's our agenda for the night. Do we want to get a general update first? Andrew, Scott, do we have anything new to tell?
Nothing new.
It's early for there to be anything new, so.
But it's okay to be hopeful.
Yes, I will keep checking.
Yeah. We did buy a ticket for tonight, so we could be $900 million.
In the town's name.
In the town, right. We're gonna balance the budget.
Cover us for like a year and a quarter. All right, with that out of the way, we will start meeting with our department heads, and the first one up is golf. Randy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Randy Vadabunker. I run the golf course for your community.
I know you met Chris and
Yes.
myself before.
I think-
Abby, were you here
I don't-
last year for?
I don't remember Abby or
So Abby and
Floyd.
Floyd.
Hi, nice to
are
meet
new
you.
members,
Nice to meet
so.
you.
Excellent.
So, and this goes for all of the department heads. Chief Glenn's not in the room at the moment, but I saw him. Oh, actually, yes, he is, right behind, out of my line of sight. Sorry, Chief. You don't have to read word for word what's on your paper. You can just kind of give us highlights or whatever you want to start with before we hit the actual details of the budget, so.
Okay.
I'm not allergic to peanut butter, I hope.
Take the lead.
So, yeah,
How's the golf course doing?
we've been doing well. We've coming along. It's every year it gets a little better, which is good. You know, we've
Started out pretty good. So
Yeah, so
every year
we-
getting a little better is definitely
it's
nice.
it's definitely heading in the right direction, and we've replaced a lot of equipment and through capital over the first 6 years, so it's been good. We had Mr. Trufant donate us 20 acres back in April, so we're working on hopefully renovating the layout of the golf course to give us a better 9-hole experience. Spread the holes out a little bit more so we can maybe put the hard hats on eBay so people aren't dodging golf, and hopefully help with the abutters too. We got a couple houses that are occasionally complain, they're not too bad, but if we can get balls away from their properties as much as, we only have 2 abutters and they're right in the landing zone, so if we can help with that, would be great. So for highlights this year, we ran Abington Appreciation Day as usual back in October. And accepted the 20 acres. We do have a couple of warrant items we were hoping to get on there. One for a vehicle for the department, and one for just some other equipment replacement. And then I was hoping to add a small stipend because my pro shop manager, she also does all the office admin stuff, and she's running between town hall and the bank in her own vehicle like 6 days a week to make deposits, drop stuff off, pick up paperwork, drop paperwork off, turnovers, all that good stuff. So we're hoping to add that to her payroll just to help her out with some fuel costs and wear and tear on her vehicle. As far as Andrew so kindly added the revenue since we took over onto onto my spreadsheet here, which is kind of nice. These numbers came directly out of my POS system though, so I didn't, they didn't come out of Vadar. There may be some slight differences as far as like taxes go and things like that, but that's accurate for what we took in and turned over to the Treasury Department yearly. If you guys have any questions on that. The only thing that will be dropping off is we did vacate the house rental, which was about $28,000 a year. That will fall off next year because we're gonna take the house down.
Yes.
Just, not that it matters much, but retained earnings jumped up in fiscal year '24. What happened?
That's
Not that
what's,
it's a
that's
bad
what's
thing.
left over after. We, in '23, we took a big chunk to renovate the clubhouse.
Oh,
And then we
okay.
just kind of replenished it.
Okay. And then '25 is down again?
Yeah, we bought a couple more pieces of equipment and
Okay.
we tried not to,
Dip too far.
yeah, we try to keep it above 400 if we
Yeah.
can, as much as possible, and still keep our equipment serviceable and
Yep.
the things we need to keep operating. What do we got next? The payroll. So payroll, everybody across the board was 2%, except for there's 2.9 by the union contract for the department's heads, managers union. And then I added the stipend for 600 for the year for my office administrator. I don't have last year's on there. I think it's back on another sheet, but it went from 287, 954 to 302. I do plan on hiring one more crew member for the outdoor staff, but he's replacing two of my part-timers. One is 88 years old, and he's finally, I told him, work till you don't want to work anymore. He worked like 20 hours a week. He's like, can I do like 6 next year? I was like, you can do whatever you want. You tell me when you're done, you're fine.
That's awesome.
So I have another person who has some golf experience. I'm hoping he comes on board, otherwise we'll start a search from there at the time to replace that spot. And I left, it's the one spot that doesn't have a, this year's rate on it. And it will be another 20-hour-a-week seasonal position on the crew, but nothing drastic.
The salaries, you say, everything's 2%, except for your union is 2.5.
Well, yeah, it was.
But in
2.9.
total, they went up 5.
Because I added that one position.
Oh, you added position.
Yeah, I added that one position for $19 an hour.
Okay.
So hopefully.
And
we
sorry,
can-
which position was that?
It's the grounds crew about 3/4 of the way down. It's got 0 years and there's
Okay,
no
yep, I see.
2026 rate
Yep.
on it.
Should have noticed.
Yeah,
that.
that's a new position that was not on there last year.
Can I ask a potentially dumb question just because I'm
Sure.
curious? Is the golf course open year-round?
As long as there's no snow on the ground, we're
Okay.
still there. It's really slow from now until the middle of March. But if it's 45 degrees out, we had like 20-something people play today.
Okay.
So we try to stay open for the members, and we have some locals that will drive by after work and play 9 holes, so. we
Okay.
try
I
to-
was just curious because I saw some seasonal, some not. And I was
Yeah,
just like,
well, that's just how they list them from the, I guess, the employee standpoint, and on their end, that's how they're listed.
Okay. I
But
just,
technically, mostly everybody is seasonal. I don't know how they ended up with either bylaw or seasonal, I don't know. What group, how that,
A relic from the payroll system.
okay, gotcha.
I just genuinely didn't know, so
Yeah,
I was
me neither.
curious.
I have a couple part-time clerks that stay around town and during the winter. So if we get busy for a couple of days and Donna and I need a break, they'll come and cover a couple shifts for us, so we're
Okay.
not there, 50 hours a week each during the winter.
Yep.
Any more questions?
Other questions?
On that part? No? Okay. So the operating budget?
Yep.
Most of it stayed the same. I do have a couple of increases. The credit card processing fee, I went up a little, because it increases every year for us, and we end up getting more of a percentage of people paying by card, or Apple Pay, or Google Pay. So I did increase that one, excuse me, by 500. And then the bank service fee and POS fee right under that, I raised that one by 2,000. We're hoping to, excuse me, get a website and have online booking, but we'll have to go through the POS system just for
Which is just
managing
such an
the
unfortunate
money coming in, yeah.
acronym.
Correct. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
just, I put it on that line item, so, just to make it easier the bill will be coming from the POS system company, so it was just the line item we used. And then I did increase the store merchandise just because the cost of everything's going up just a few $1,000s, but it's stuff we're generating revenue from, so.
Yep.
And then, the only other thing I had increased was the landscape and groundskeeping, just because of the cost of materials and fertilizer and pesticides. And since we put the well in, the fairways have come a long way, but now they need fertilizer and they need
Yep.
more mowing twice a week instead of once a week, and just to cover those costs. Everything else
Oh,
pretty much stayed the same. So it went up 11,500 on that for the year.
All right.
I think that's about it for me.
Again, one of the few departments where you bring in more money than you spend.
I try to keep it that way if we can.
It's an unusual thing for a town government, so we
Understood.
we appreciate it, and we definitely appreciate all the work that you put in to keep it running smoothly and fiscally responsibly. And
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Anyone else? Anything else?
Just one more question,
Sure.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
The warrant items, so.
Yes.
These three, now do these just, even though you bring in the money and that funds everything else, these will go on when we vote at town meeting?
For the town meeting, they'll be separate from the operating budget. There'll be
Okay.
warrants, and they'll be only for those items,
Okay,
as opposed to the operating budget. If I need more fertilizer, I can
okay.
go over in one department and stay under in a different department, but you can't do that with the
Can't do that
warrants.
for a vehicle.
Yeah.
So,
but those still get paid for by
Correct.
your revenues.
Out of the enterprise.
these
Not
will still
getting
come
paid.
through.
They still
Okay.
come.
Yeah,
So if you remember, several of the capital items last year at town meeting were like, the water department needed a truck, and they were taking it out of water department revenues.
Okay,
Or
So
sewer needed something, it's coming out
Yeah.
of sewer funds.
okay.
it would come from my bottom line,
Yep.
the retained earnings on the bottom.
Okay,
This is
perfect.
what we bring in annually.
So it's a good,
Let's
if you want to
go.
put the retained earnings up while I'm pointing this out to Abby. So if you look at the bottom row,
Okay.
where Chris was asking, like, why did it dip so much in there and then go up a lot the next year? We spent a lot more money on bigger items that we needed to
That year,
replace.
we had renovated
in
the whole
FY
clubhouse, new
23.
windows, AC, heat.
Okay, so that
And
also
then
come
in
from that,
FY
not
20,
the-
in FY '24, they spent less so they could build that number back up.
Okay, so that still comes from that money, just
Yeah,
it
it
needs
still
to be
comes,
approved
yes.
separately?
Correct.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure I know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
and it's
you.
because even though they have the money, they can't just spend it willy-nilly.
No,
That makes sense.
sure.
And that's any of the town departments that have a revolving
Enterprise,
fund
yeah.
or an enterprise fund have
You have it, but
restrictions
you
and
have
limits
to
on what
apply
they
for
can,
it.
limits and restrictions on what they can do with the money that they have in there. So,
That makes sense. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Floyd, anything? No. All right. Ernie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt.
Appreciate your time.
Excellent, thank you.
Next up, we have our library
sir.
department.
Hello,
Welcome.
thank you. You want to introduce yourself, and then I'll go? Get myself together.
know most of you. I'm Henry Cotter, I'm chairman of the elected Board of Library Trustees. And for the newer members, the elected Board of Library Trustees is a 9-member board, the largest board in town, 3 of us elected each year. And we have control over the library under the state law, and the charter matches the state law, so. And then we hire a professional library director, and she takes over from there. And Deb and I were just chatting that I'm probably the longest-serving elected member that comes in front of you every year. And
You've
Deb
been
is-
here every year that I've been on the committee,
And
so-
Deb,
and I'm sure before that.
yeah, it's been well over 30, I think. And Deb is.
Awesome service.
Deb is the longest, I believe, serving department head in town.
I think
now.
so.
When she started when she was 12. I will get out of the way and let Deb take over here, but I will say that we think that we do more with about 1%, maybe a little less than 1% of the budget, serving a broader spectrum of the people in town than anybody else, at least voluntarily serving them.
Yep.
We need our fire department, but most of it's not voluntary.
People don't really want the fire department to be serving them. No offense to the fire department. I say the same thing about my job at work. People don't want to see or hear from my group, but they want us to be silent.
But when you think about schools, sports, golf, senior center, I mean, they serve. We serve
Specific
from
communities.
Newborns or expected moms all the way up to
Yep.
the seniors that we delivered the books to in town. So
Yeah.
again, we serve a broad spectrum, both online, in person, and, for programs or books and materials. I'll be quiet now, turn it over to you.
Following Rennie in the golf course was interesting. I've never followed a revenue-generating department that generates that much revenue. So I'm just going to say from the get-go, libraries do not generate revenue. That's not our mission. What we do is generate value for the residents and for the town. Value in terms of books borrowed, value in terms of preschool readiness, value in terms of programs, activities, mental stimulation for our senior citizens, and also interesting value to the town. Think about the trash and the recycling stream. Every book somebody borrows from us is a book that doesn't end up getting dumped. So that's the best I can do in terms of revenue. So leave that there. I won't
You
go.
generate intelligence,
Thank
which
you.
is a very good thing to generate.
I like that. I sent a handout to Matt, and I didn't.
Yep, I
you
forwarded it around
forwarded
to
it,
her.
okay.
Yes.
All right, cool. So-
And I
yeah,
have it up on my
Okay,
screen.
so
In case
usually,
Abby wants to-
Would anyone prefer a hard copy?
Can I have a hard copy
sure
if you
can.
have them? Thank you. I love hard copies.
okay, there you go. Usually, I start and go over the requirements for state certification. That's what this is, call it a primer or an ABC of how libraries are certified in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Since we're looking at a slightly different budget year this year, I kind of wanted to focus on the differences between the level funded budget, the level services budget, and what that means. So I have sent you this. For anybody at home who wants a copy, I will be happy to send it. Just email the library at adlib@ocln.org, and I will send it. So I'm going to leave certification for the moment, and I'm not going to go too much into the highlights other than one that the trustees, and we have another trustee here this evening, John Leahy is the newest member of our board. This one the trustees did ask me to mention. I know we're talking budget tonight, but also in terms of capital. In the unlikely event, if there's any capital money, we have a nice estimate for the air conditioning. I might have told another department head at a department head meeting to get in line behind me regarding air conditioning. So.
We have had the air conditioning mentioned to us.
So in any
We
event.
are aware that that is on the docket at some point.
Yes.
At the point when we can afford it.
Yes, I don't want to have to come next year and bring the pool cover pump and the underbed storage box and the metal containers that are upstairs catching the water and hold them up as exhibits. So, we shall see. So that's it. Did anybody have any questions on highlights or anything? I'm going to move on if nobody does. All right. When we're looking at personnel, one of the highlights that is related directly to this is the library union contract expires on June 30th. It is not settled. By state law, I can't guess or try to figure out what it's going to be. So this is salary that you see in front of you for every union staff member is based on the current year. For those people who are still getting step raises, it includes step raises. There are 2 non-union library employees, one bylaw library assistant, and I did a 2% raise, which the trustees voted for her, and also I am not in a union, and we did a 2% raise for me, mostly because last year the trustees addressed, and the town graciously granted their request, some salary inequity in terms of the director's salary. And I believe last year's raise was a 5% raise for non-union. We don't want to go backwards, but we certainly don't want, recognizing the current situation. I will say a nearby community recently advertised for library director and had difficulty getting applicants. Their salary is $16,000 less than mine. It's one of the lowest in the state, and that was unfortunate, and the library is facing some difficulties. So basically, that's it. So 510-109 is everything that's contractually obligated, plus the 2% for the 2 non-union people.
And to add that a little bit for the newer members, if we were to budget an increase for the union before the salary is negotiated, it could be seen as an unfair labor practice.
Yes.
That we're trying to influence the number that's going to eventually come out in the negotiations. And we've been advised by legal counsel and several town managers, don't do that.
Yes.
Everybody is tempted to do it, try and.
So
Let's
so
get-
this is a low number. The real number is going to be
The real
higher
number
than
will
this.
be different.
But not for this budget, it'll have to be an article later.
Right, yes,
Later,
yeah, no,
unless-
yeah, I know.
Unless it's
negotiate something
resolved.
Next week.
Could happen. It's Christmas.
We'll figure it out when we get
Yeah,
there. So
there'll have to be an article later for whatever the negotiated
But
is.
in the back of my mind, I'm thinking,
Yeah,
And
yeah, there'll have to be another number.
And we do typically have an article on the warrant for contract negotiations that will include an amount that will cover that specific
Right.
year for whatever is over what was projected in the budget.
Ideally, these things get settled ahead of time, we commit for the last year, and we have a number, and we can put a budget in.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've ever been ideal.
Most departments aren't.
Yep.
And I don't think that's Abington specific.
No. So the level funded and level services budgets are identical. So when we go and look at the whole overall budget, in level funded and level services, salary is identical. Level funded, obviously, to make up the salary increase, I subtracted items in expenses to make it come out even. OCLN is, our network fees is the professional and technical line. That obviously went up, so, and that is a contractual obligation, so that number is what it is. It's 28,201 this year. And as I've said every year, the salary lines, the supply lines, office, computer, so on, the expenses out of those lines vary from year to year, but I've tried to kind of follow the best I can do. The place that took the hit is the book line, which is painful, very painful, because we try really hard to maintain the required 15%. That took the hit because that's the easiest place to get donations. It's the easiest place to get other money, to use trust fund money, to use the gift accounts and things like that.
And Deb, I should mention, to tie in the requirements on that handout, if you look at line 2 there, that is the materials expenditure, and that's what she's talking about in that
Yeah.
line.
So that is how we ended up with a totally level funded budget. The level services budget, because there's no union contract, the only real increases are in expenses, and since we are 0.93% of the total town budget, the difference is $13,964. It's not a huge sum of money. It is, however, a huge sum of money for library operations. A couple of things I want to mention in terms of what the level funded budget would mean. When I talked with Scott and Andrew, we had talked about being very forthcoming about this. The level funded budget does not mean that there will be a reduction in force at the library. It would not lead to a layoff. We typically spend $10,000 to $15,000 a year out of our state aid on salary expenses over what we spend from the town. And the purpose of that is to provide program support. If the children's librarian visits every kindergarten and every preschool class in town once a month, if she's leaving the building and somebody's out sick, I need to get somebody to come in and cover so the library doesn't have to close while she's gone. That's what we do with that state aid money, and it's to provide other people in the building for programs, essentially. So given that we're going to be hitting the state aid to make up expenses, I'm going to be looking to save some money in salary. And I think the only way we are going to be able to do that is to reduce hours. Now, going back to the state aid requirements, we have to be open 50 hours a week. If we are open between 45 and 49 hours a week, the state will take away 12.5% of our state aid money, which this year is $50,000 roughly, so that's a little bit more than $6,000. We can't afford to lose $6,000. So we have to stay open 50 hours a week. So through the spring, the trustees and I will discuss and address what we're going to do to go. Right now, we're open 53.5, to go from 53.5 to 50. And the reason we're going to need to do that is to save money on salary so that we can continue to run programs. So we're going to have to look at programming, what hours could we close and reallocate that staff to support programs as opposed to bringing in a sub, So that's what that will mean. So yes, the level funded budget will definitely result in fewer open hours. We're going to do our very level best to not cut too much in the way of programs, especially kids programs, and to try to retain all of our services to schools, because that's a core part of our mission.
A decade or so ago, when the board and the director had to deal with this, we ended up closing one night to gain those 3 hours. And it's not that we necessarily would do that now. I don't have a crystal ball, but
We're gonna have to look at everything and try to figure out when we have staffing, who we can adjust, because obviously we can't close and then move person X to cover when they're already on the schedule.
Yes.
So it'll be a challenge, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. But really, that really is the number, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Couple of other things I wanted to point out, just in terms of finances. The town does not provide technology for the library. Our computer maintenance lines, we get, the town buys computer supplies like printer cartridges and stuff like that, and some software. If we need computers, any computer, any printer, any mouse, anything like that that you see in the library was purchased with state aid funds. We don't have a technology budget on the town side. And that's an important use of state aid that I think we don't always mention or recognize. It's in my mind right now because with the end of support for Windows 10, and given that we have public computers with very sophisticated security software on them, we could not risk running Windows 10 computers with the public. That's a recipe for disaster. So we used state aid funds this fall and replaced, late spring, late summer, early fall, and replaced computers. We were able to shift some computers. We had one staff Windows 11 computer that for some reason did not have an operable flash drive. I have no idea why. So we're using that for an OPAC because we don't need a flash drive there, and that staff member got a newer computer. So computers are one of the things that we, computers, the kids' tablets, all that kind of stuff. That comes out of state aid. Another thing that we do not have a town budget for is programming. So crayons for story hour, performers, construction paper, everything that you see at a library program, except the staff, gets paid for out of state aid or the gift account. And we have had some very generous gifts to allow us to have programming. But those are things, I guess my point is, it's easy to look at the library and say, you have a state aid budget, so maybe you can make things up. We really can't. We have a state aid budget that we spend for things that aren't in the town budget, in addition to supplementing things. So I kind of just wanted to get that out there.
Yep.
And I could add on the technology side, when we opened your new library 30 years ago, I'll let that sink in for a second. We went to
It
trust
does
funds.
not look 30 years old.
We went to trust funds, and all the technology then was paid by, funds that were not directly coming from the towns.
Yeah.
And that, we've continued that for 30 years in this building.
Anything? Anybody wants to ask
Questions?
questions?
We're going to check everybody's library card.
I can't get one, I'm on the list. I
It's in
tried.
here somewhere.
I'm sad I had to replace mine with a new one, and mine was so old, so it doesn't have my old signature anymore.
Oh,
It was a sad day to be me.
I remember when you got your first library card. It was a long time ago.
It no longer has like the signature up the side, it has an
Yeah.
adult signature, so
The
it's
first one I
sad.
had from Tufts Library had a little metal, he used to have the number stamped into it.
Yep.
Of course, Mr. Franny used to brag, Mike Franny used to brag that he still had his from a froyo.
That sounds right.
Yep. Last, yeah.
Question on, so number one on your sheet about, I don't know at the top of that, the
Requirements.
certification
Yeah.
requirements. It looks like in either level funded or level service scenario, we're above the first benchmark.
Yes.
Which is not the only benchmark.
No.
We're above the first benchmark.
Yep.
The concern, I believe, would be materials
I think
in the level funded.
we'll be able, the community was generous. I mean, we had a bigger gap than that in the Great Recession one year, and we did manage to close that gap. And yes, the municipal appropriation requirement, thanks to the 3-year averaging, we will make it. We really want to, we don't want to apply for a waiver.
Yeah.
Andrew does not want us to apply for a waiver, because that will require him to do a great deal of work.
And I don't like to go and beg.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So I
The
think.
thing that sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, continue.
No, I don't remember. It's okay.
Okay. The thing that that I noted in there when I was reading through it was about the waivers. There's no guarantee of receiving a waiver. It says if a library budget is reduced disproportionately in compensation to the municipal budget or to other town departments. And we don't want to decrease the library budget, but if we are decreasing the library budget, it's decreasing proportionately.
Yes.
So that would potentially help us.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's not the only thing they look at when regarding a waiver. but we would.
State Board of Library Commissioners is very aware of that, very
Yeah.
attuned to that if you reduce your library, but you increase, your golf course, they want to make sure that the library is not being targeted to
Yeah.
fund other things in town, so
Yeah.
they look for proportional.
Because it's money generating for the library, so.
That brings up a question in my mind. What if we go in and we're all fine, but then we have an override we're doing the overrides by
By department.
department? What happens if there's an override in,
And the override says no to
and
library and
it
yes. to
tosses
everything else.
things aside?
It could be
That's huge.
perceived as being disproportionate, by the.
Yeah.
you know,
So
even though it's
that
voted by-
counts.
Even though it's voted by the town meeting or the
Yeah. The vote
the
of the
electors,
town.
the voters, it's the town.
Yep.
And that's been my concern and the concern of the Board of Trustees about
Yeah.
a menu-type override. We are not fans.
Yeah.
Smaller departments should not be fans, because, we just don't, I mean, we carry more than our own weight, but, not necessarily as much as other departments, so, I mean, it's hard to protect the voters, as you know. It's,
Is there any recourse if that happens, that we go back and say at a special town meeting in the fall, hey, let's throw a little
If we have
extra
money,
lettuce at the.
if we have money,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
then it's something that we could
But I mean, it
consider.
may
at a
save
fall.
money to do it,
Yeah,
because we.
yeah, it may very well be the case.
All right.
If we stay above the municipal appropriation requirement number, it will be okay. We do not want, that is what is concerning me about the possibility of going below the requirement number, is then when you add in a menu override, at that point, that's a disproportionate cut. And at that point, the Board of Library Commissioners is not going to be forgiving. So we need to not be in a waiver situation. We need to be above the municipal appropriation requirement.
And if we are not meeting the requirement and we become decertified, that's a huge impact. And I can tell you right now, this board has voted not to serve people from other towns whose libraries are decertified. One of the hardest votes that a library trustee can ever take, that we're not going to serve you from whatever town you're from because you didn't get certified.
Yeah.
But if we don't do that,
No incentive to.
So if we
meet
were
certification.
certified, our patrons can't say, well, gee, I'll just run over to, Weymouth, Rockland, Whitman, but, because those boards will probably vote not to service,
Yeah.
not to lend us materials. And that large expense for the Old Colony Library Network gives you that access to those 28 cities and towns, spreading your value out. I mean, talking about shared resources, we've been doing it longer than anybody. Allows you to borrow from anybody in the state.
Just in the last few weeks, I have set multiple people up with all of the different library networks on the Libby app instead of just OCLN or just Boston Public Library for
Yeah.
my daughter who lives in Boston. So it's a fantastic service.
And I did include for this year, what we would lose if we were decertified for patrons was for fiscal '25 was 22,957 items. that were either came over our desk through interlibrary loan, or Abington patrons went to another library to borrow. And that's only in OCLN. And then the other thing is that if the library is decertified, your state aid goes away. They don't give it to you. And in '25, it was $49,587.10. And we've already received our first state aid payment for this year for just over $25,000. We can't lose our state aid.
How much does state aid pay your salary? I don't know if I missed it.
State aid what?
How much does state aid pay salary? Or how much do you have it do?
We use between 10 and 15,000 a year
Okay.
to add salary.
But not the core salaries.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Other questions?
Chris, anything? Floyd? Yep.
No.
All right.
Unrelated, but I do really like your nails, Mrs. Grimmett. I was waiting till the end.
Thank you, Abby. And call me Deb.
I was about to tell her that she has to call you Deb.
It's hard for me.
It's definitely a transition.
It is a transition. My junior year English teacher is a book club facilitator with the library. And about 10 years ago, I was standing in front of the library. She had left her purse, yelling, Mrs. Anderson, come back, and realized how ridiculous I sounded. And I just bellowed Beth. And it was much easier. She just screamed, Deb, as I walk out of the room, and you'll be good. Right, thank you all very much.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have our fire chief, Jack Glenn.
I will say, Abby, I will not have the nails that Deb has. We definitely do not generate more money than we receive.
but you did bring-
We don't want to, because.
But you did bring peanut butter squares.
We
so-
did, we did. We always want to thank everybody for our volunteers throughout the year, that, or even just staff that we work with that do a job that's thankless. You guys definitely do a thankless job. All right, we're going to start off with, if you can bring up achievements, that'd be great. That's perfect. So,
Scroll down.
I'm going to have to scroll down a little bit.
Up there.
Perfect, thank you. So, a few of the things that we did again this year was for, this year we were successful with the Senior Safe grant through the state, in which we get a certain amount of money to be able to help our seniors, teaching them about fire safety, as well as the SAFE grant that we go through the schools with. And we have a couple of instructors that go out, they visit every school. That, for the most part, covers some of the coloring books, pencils, things like that. We keep the overflow as far as paying the guys that go out there in our overtime budget, and we make up the difference because it's important. I'm going on my 30th year, and we've had cases throughout that where it's made a difference. We've had a child, it was the late 90s, a child that went through the program, and 4 years later did the right thing and notified his family to everything, and he said it was from the SAFE program he did, and it was a house fire, everybody get out. So we make a difference with it. Our instructors do, I should say, not myself. Alexis, our administrative assistant, she's a guru with the Medicare reimbursement grants, and some of the departments in the area look to her to try to help out. She's really gotten efficient at it. When I took over as chief, John Nuttall, my predecessor, had just done it the year before for the first time. It was about a 4-week process. About a 4-week process with me. We've got it down now that Alexis can do it in about a week and a half. And it's everything from figuring out statistics on the pay scale for this ambulance, in which these people did this many hours throughout the year. You can imagine it's like an explosion of statistics, but brought in $117,000 back into the general budget for everybody. One of the other highlights I just wanted to hit on is that something that really, I don't think you can quantify it, is we continue to be leaders in our field in the South Shore area, as well as northeastern Mass, like throughout the state, with our patient care. We get recognized in the New England Journal of Medicine for stroke care. This was, I believe it was about 4 months ago, and we work well with Tufts. Tufts is the specialists for the state as far as handling any type of stroke patient. And we actually had one about a month ago, same thing. And so we have a criteria we meet. We work well with our medical director, and if a person meets that criteria, whether it be, an involving CVA, cerebral vascular accident, or they meet certain criteria that it's recent, there's certain scores we go by. Based on that, we notify Tufts, we go directly into Boston. They have surgery waiting on hand, they have the specialist waiting on hand, and the results have been phenomenal. The other departments in the area are doing the same thing, but we actually, at one of the conferences, we said we're going over this, and Tufts was going over it, they asked 2 of our paramedics to be case presenters on a case they did. And next week, our guys are going to be presenting a case on a cardiac arrest patient as well, too. So I'm biased, but I have no problem whatsoever in saying that I get to lead a group of superstars that I'm really proud of. So we continue to do that, and we also continue to be one of the busiest departments in the state per capita. We joke around and say we're the busiest small town in Massachusetts. Our call volume is going to come close to either hitting last year's total or exceeding it, and it's the highest total we've had in our history. One of the things I brought up to the select board the other night was the difference we're seeing is the acuity of calls. So we can run 18 or 19 responses in 24 hours. Out of those, maybe 3 or 4 are like real life-threatening situations. We're looking at like 7 or 8 of them now that are real life-threatening situations. Both ambulances are being used constantly. We averaged 3 times per 24 hours for both ambulances to be in service at the same time, working a call. We've had shifts as high as 8 or 9 times in a 24-hour period in the last month, with both ambulances being used at the same time. We had a shift about 3 weeks ago where we had 3 consecutive calls within about a half hour's time where a third person was needed in the back of the ambulance because it was that critical. They had just dropped off somebody, they worked a call from the engine, the ambulance transported. They then immediately got a call at this end of town for a possible stroke. At the same time, they got an unresponsive party at the other end of town. They were right here. They had a third person in the back of the engine that they just picked up from the other call, dropped him off at the radio, said, Whitman's on the way for you, we're going for the unresponsive person. Person that got dropped off, he evaluated, said, yeah, it's an active stroke. Whitman's just arrived on scene, we're going to Tufts with him. Had an amazing result, so he's doing well. Went to the unresponsive person, they resuscitated the unresponsive person, that person went home. This is the type of things we're seeing now. So I don't want to get bogged down too much with that, because I know with finance committee, you need to hear from me on things, but a couple of things.
These are important things to hear, though.
I could go on that for hours and you guys would fall asleep. So I want to limit my time with that, but I will tell you that a couple of things that we've done in the last few years that we're really proud of, and it's been really beneficial for us financially. So the first year I took over as chief, I put in an article, a capital expenditure article with $385,000. And it was going to be for last year. And what it was firefighting gear that's expired. It expires after 10 years. If it's expired, a lot of departments still use it. They probably shouldn't, but finances dictate. Once it's expired, you can't use it in the fire academy. They will not allow you to. You can't bring someone as a cadet. You can't do training courses with them. So we've actually had instances where we've tried to get classes with the academies, and we've rented gear just to get them through that, to put them in old stuff. That and our SCBR breathing bottles are expiring. We got those in a grant 14 years ago that I wrote, and we're a product of our own success because we're probably at about 1.8 million that we've brought in over the last decade in grants. but it's double jeopardy. They have high priority items. We've hit every one of them. So now it's like you can't go back and try to get a grant for something that we got a grant for 12 years ago, but we're continuing to look for things like that, especially through the state grants. There's smaller items, but we can do that. So what we tried to do, we asked for that money, saw what the finances were like, and I talked with Andrew a little bit and with Scott and said, I think we might be able to piecemeal some of this through our operating budget, through the PPE line item. We're gonna come in close, and each year we're gonna be a little bit close, but I think we can get there. We're about 90% there now. So we saved the town that article, the 385. We're about 90% there now. We've still probably got about, I'm guessing, about $50,000 worth of bottles for the SCBA's that we need. And we're hoping within the budget, we're saying with the budgets, we back it out every week, we're hoping to get that or get close to that by the end of this fiscal year, by the end of June. Another thing that we were very happy with FY25 is, like everybody else, we were terrified at the end of the year, the last couple of months, going, oh boy, it's gonna be close. A lot of it's contractual items. We can't do anything about that. We have to budget for those things. I kept in contact with Scott and with Andrew, weekly for probably 9 weeks, and said, okay, this is what it looks like this week. This is what it looks like this week, and we were close. We got to be about 2 or 3 weeks out. I said to Andrew and Scott, I said, I think we're gonna be able to turn some money back, but I'm not sure because we still have contractual obligations on what they call personal improvement time that's in there, or their tuition, whether people are going to use it or not. Some of the guys realized what the deal was when we talked with the union and said, it's going to be tight, guys. They held off on certain classes, and to make a long story short, we turned money back last year. And I know it helped across the board, and I explained to the guys it's part of being members of this community. We have to do that. We have to help out as a team. So I'm very proud of that. This year, there's two things that popped up. Now, a lot of it's luck and a lot of it's our reputation that brought us to where we were. We had to replace an opening early in the year for someone that had left. And most recently, Mike Cologe relocated to South Carolina. It's a dream he's always wanted, him and his wife. So
He can't commute?
he can, but I get daily texts from him. He sends
work
me texts
remotely.
like every day about, and I said, that's not as cool as us. But, so when someone leaves and we have to replace them, there's a process of going through for hiring, trying to find the right person, trying to find the right experience level. When you want to put someone through the firefighting academy, you don't want to put them out on the road, obviously, without experience. You go through the academy, there's usually a 2 to 3 month wait to get in. They will not give you a John Doe opening. So you have to have a name. So you have to have someone hired, ready to go to get in that academy. Conservatively, each hire that has to go through the academy from the time you get them, it's a 6 to 7 months of overtime just for that one person to get it filled. We were fortunate that, to our benefit, to the dismay of Hingham Fire, we had a gentleman that wanted to join our department, and he was a lateral transfer. I spoke with the chief. I've had a good relationship for years, and pretty much told him, I get where you're coming from. We both have to sign off on that to get him. I wouldn't hold him back if he wanted to go somewhere else. And he said he's a good kid. I get it. So Ethan Van Meiden joined us. We were able to plug and play. We had him ride for 2 weeks on days with us to get familiar. He went on shift. We saved 7 months of overtime. Most recently, with Mike leaving, we knew it was ahead of time. We did the same process. I have a spy in my department that also works part-time for the fire academy as a drill instructor. And he said, there's a really nice kid from another department. He's been asking about our department, and it wasn't even an opening. And I said, keep an eye on him. And he said, he's doing great. He graduated, went to his department. When we advertised, he was one of the first people that signed up and wanted an interview. So we interviewed him, interviewed another person who was really strong. Long story short, Jay Davies, we hired him and we just swore him in the other night, Monday night. He came from Lakeville Fire. The chief there is jabbing a voodoo doll with my name on it because he's the third person we've captured from Lakeville Fire in the last 11 years. Both Derek Hamadi and Kyle Garrier came from there too. So again, it was a great opportunity, but again, we saved all the overtime. He did 2 weeks a days, he's on shift now, and he's fantastic. So we're very proud of that, and I think the thing that I'm most proud of is our reputation. People want to come, it's difficult because there's other departments that are trying to find people. We've been fortunate because in the past, we'd have like one strong candidate and 2 or 3 other people that you kind of had an idea they weren't ready yet. We're getting strong candidates knocking on the door now, asking if, to come work with us, and I'm proud of the people that we work with. So I kind of wanted, before we got going on stuff, I wanted to kind of get that out there. That being said,
Just real
Go
quick
ahead.
before you start.
Absolutely.
On that point, and I know Chris has been on long enough, I'm not sure how much Abby and Floyd know about this, but we have seen over the years where the police department has had the Hingham and Lakeville side of that issue. And we've been working, I know Scott's worked a lot to try to help the police department out of that kind of scenario. It's nice to hear we're on the other side of it.
we're doing great. It's
the
a
fire
great place to be, and when we hired Jay, I called Mike O'Brien, the chief from Lakeville, that night, and I said, this is the most awkward call I can make to you, Mike. I don't want to seem like I'm dancing on your grave, but I can just tell you that I understand where you're coming from. We've been there before, but we're advocating for us, and I get it. And he goes, I understand completely. And he said, I appreciate the phone call. And I said, it's awkward, but I owe it to you because we all are all in the same communities around the state. So we're very happy with that. Good mention, though, too, Matt. If I can, it's incredible working with the police department. We have such a good bond now we've created. We're doing so many good things with it. I'll let Chief Bond, he's much more eloquent than me. He can probably speak up, but it's incredible what we're doing with the 2 departments, and it's helping. It's making us more efficient with school situations and crowd situations. And I'm very honored that once again this year that the police organized it, but I get the opportunity, to drive Santa Claus around town in a fire engine Saturday morning. So police organized it, but I get the treat of driving him around. He also, he's a familiar person to us in Abington, so I'll leave it at that.
So what you're saying is you are now a reindeer.
There was a lot of things people might call me, Matt. I'll take reindeer. I'm not even gonna open that one up because there's a lot of facets to that one. So when Andrew and Scott presented to us and said, this is what we're up against, we need a level funded budget. And I sat down with my deputy and with the administrative assistant, and I put together a few things together, the 3 of us, and said, our priorities have to be maintaining that second ambulance and making sure we don't lose a person, because if we lose a person, we're at 6 people per shift. This is the same staffing we had in 1970. We got that staffing back through a SAFER grant that I wrote 12 years ago. And as part of, you here, Matt, as part of maintaining that number.
It was not a good place that we were in.
It was
before
horrible.
that.
And
It was really
as
tough.
part of maintaining that, with the union, we worked with them and said, let's get that second ambulance up because we're not getting any slower. And this is a way to be able to generate the revenue back. So we're on pace to at least meet last year and probably exceed it. We brought in 1.4 million last year between the 2 ambulances. And it's hard to differentiate if you broke it down and said, well, did we get more from this one or that one? Sometimes the second ambulance, one can be tied up at the hospital. The second ambulance runs 2 or 3 consecutive calls in the same time, so it's been pretty equal. It's been good. But that was a priority, is we have to maintain those 2 ambulances, and we have to maintain 6 people per shift. Prior to that, we had this ridiculous way, and I can say it now because I lived it, where a second call come in, we dispatched ourselves, we weren't with Holbrook Communications. We would page out on our text page a second call the police and say, if any emergency calls come in on an emergency line, can you answer it? And then we'd empty the station and one of us would go out in the tower, a ladder truck by ourselves. We've actually had instances where one firefighter got to a house fire by himself. He's retired now, and we were talking about it the other day. And he got to the fire, bystander said, how can I help you? And he said, he's pulling the hose up, and he says, put your hand on this knob. look at the front door. When you see me disappear in there, count to 10, and then open it up as far as you can. He put the fire out, he got recognized. It's horrible. We can't do that. So that's what we can't go back to doing is that. And then when we see with what happened with Fall River and their manning, and we're way under as it is, but we understand. We understand what the situation is with the budget. With Union Point, it's gonna be beyond my career. Manning's gonna have to increase. It's just gonna have to because of the call volume. There's nothing you can do. But for right now, the main thing for us is maintaining who we have and that second ambulance. So that was the goal. And
And just
Go
to,
ahead. Yeah.
just to add to that, because when I first came on this committee, we were at 5
yeah,
per shift.
I think you and Barbara.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't safe.
Definitely not.
There were
Definitely
a
not.
lot of instances where you guys were put in situations where you were not safe.
No,
So
and I appreciate you mentioning
it's-
that. It's something that, in good conscience, I was speaking with, with the interim town manager and with Scott and in the past, like, in good conscience, I can't do that. And we'll have to find a way somehow to get that. We understand what we're up against. So we have to go back and say, how do we pare it? How do we pare it down? So we put the budget together. The level funded, basically, the level funded versus level services, it's a difference of about $275,000. Contractual items, we can't change that. And certain things like sick days, we have to budget for a minimum of it based on the contractual stuff. The positives is, well, it's a positive and a negative. It's a negative that he's leaving us, but one of the positives with the town manager that negotiated a contract previously was the sick leave incentive policy. For whatever reason, it's worked out fantastic, and knock on wood, winter time's the worst because we're around sick people all the time, but we're pulling more money backwards because there's less sick time because of, going through that. It's working. We can't bank on it, but that's what we're looking at. So to make up the $275,000, we went through and said, well, what can we fix? What are the big ticket things? And it's gonna hurt. No matter what we do, it's gonna hurt. So keeping us above affecting the second ambulance and the staffing, we started with the salary line items and just to hit the highlights for you. So the first one would be the 5130 account, overtime. That's the biggest place we can pull from. We back out our budget once a week. We're gonna have to back it out like every 3 days. We're gonna have to be that conscientious on it, but give you an idea on some of the things that it's gonna affect out of that budget. Storm coverage. We have a storm, we pull in extra people. Now it's gonna be a decision of, I'm gonna become meteorologist Jack Glenn. And I'm being facetious, obviously, but we're gonna have to really make tough decisions at certain points and go, looks like it's gonna be this, maybe we put one additional person on, rather than 3 or 4, or 5. That's those things that we're gonna have to cut back on. Some of the teaching stuff, some of the safe stuff, we're gonna have to cut back on that. One of the things that's got implemented in the last year, and I hate to see it go, but it's going to, is our safe instructors have actually been working with the high school teachers now, and they'll bring the ambulance out, they're showing them what we do, and getting them involved with that. Again, that's something that comes out of that budget, we're gonna have to cut that. The lifeguard drills that we do with the lifeguards every year at Island Grove, that's what we pay for out of that. Mutual aid detail, sometimes it's based on what's going on with the town. Like say Rockland had their festival last week. They are on what they call a condition red, where they can't respond mutual aid to other towns when that's going on because they need all hands on deck. So everybody moves up from the different communities. They fill overtime to fill it, to surround it. Thank God we did, because that was, I was there that night with the nursing home. I had to drive all the way down to Ocean State Job Lot to get backwards to get there. We evacuated 102 residents in 2.5, 3 hours to other locations in the state. It wasn't just like with Brockton Hospital, we had administrators on board saying, okay, we're gonna bring them to hospitals. These were nursing homes we had to relocate. Our crews did yeoman's work, but we also had people coming in off duty to fill the station, protect the town while there was like 7 of us over there. It's going to affect that. Our tech rescue team, that we have, Plymouth County Tech Rescue Team, they have their personal improvement time and they have contractual stuff that's covered. There's additional training that they do both with our town and with other communities that we've always been able to help with because it helps our department. That's going to have to get eliminated. More than anything, it's the strategic situations. We're just going to have to cut on that. That budget of all is going to be a huge stretch for us. It's really going to be tight. I can't guarantee anything. All we can do is just kind of every 3 days look at it and say, okay, we're getting in trouble. We're going to have to figure something else out. We still have to fill what we call man for man or woman for woman. We have to fill those because to maintain that second ambulance, we have to have the 6 people. We just have to. So that's with that budget. That's the biggest budget that we can kind of tap into. Anything beyond that, we're going to be in real trouble. I mean, this is going to affect us badly as it is. If you skip down to the next budget, the 5193, the in-service training and health. We have a cancer screening program that we started 2 years ago with the firefighters, in which, we're more apt to be accessible to, bladder cancers, prostate cancers, anything along those lines. We do cancer screening with them every year, and it's for an old fart, pardon my French, an old fart like me. I've been through the processes with it. Some of these young guys, it's like we're trying to keep them healthy through the new gear and things like that. We're gonna have to cut that. Some of the training classes that we're doing. We're doing, as Mr. Wacombe was here talking about, so the house over at Strawberry Valley. We're doing, it's a 20-session training course, it's a national training course for firefighter survival course. And we're doing that, using that house. It's been incredible. I posted up something on our social media a little while ago with video. And just to give you an idea of what it is, we ruined one of the myths on TV that you don't go into a burning building like in Chicago fire and see everything crystal clear. When you get to the door, it is black down to the floor. You're blinded. You're absolutely. So what we do with this house, part of this training, and I watched it, was we put a full blackout mask on you. You have your full gear, your breathing apparatus. We bring you in the room. We rotate you 3 times, just disorient you, push you down on your knees and say, okay, now you call Mayday. Now you gotta slow your breathing down. You go for the hose, and we're taught which direction the cuts go to be able to get out. Well, we've got that hose tangled up everywhere. It's around everything. So guys are literally blacked out. They're feeling around. They're throwing couches out of the way and tables. And I'm in the corner of the room watching this. And I was trying to do the videotape to post up. After about the 3rd try, I said to the captain, I want to videotape something I can put up online. Can you stop swearing? Because it's like a football game. People are excited, the enthusiasm, they're getting it because they're building confidence. And the younger guys that are new, they're like, let's go, and they're yelling and they're really enthusiastic. This is huge. It builds camaraderie, it builds our efficiency, and it's going to keep our people alive beyond the training we have to try to pull everybody else out of buildings. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that anymore, at least based on this budget. We've been fortunate the last 2 years that twice a year with Fall River, they have their training tower. We go down there for a live burn. They have instructors on site where we go in and do 7 or 8 evolutions where they light pallets on fire. They hide a mannequin inside. Guys go through and get to do this. It's training, it's control training, and it's, again, confidence building and efficiency building. These are things that we need to stay on the top of our game because we run 75% medical calls. We do that. But fires, not necessarily as much, but the difference is 25 years ago, you had more fires, but they don't burn as hot and as toxic as they do now. Everything's, you take a look around the table now, everything's plastic. Everything burns fast. The new construction with houses, new apartment buildings, they've almost made disposable. So they're built with the gusset plates and the different pinch points they have. They're built so that under direct fire conditions, they're probably gonna start to collapse within 5 minutes. You don't have a lot of time, so that's why it's important for us. Also under that budget is Fire Academy. Anybody has to go to the Fire Academy. Coverage for them and any OT involved with that. Now, knock on wood, we won't have an opening this year, but that still falls under that category. We were able to get numbers-wise and say, okay, we'll take 50,741 out of that. We're trying to figure out how to get to the number, and we literally sitting there going, go over here, here, and that's what we're supposed to do. You get down to 5194. That's a tuition, uniform, and PPE. Expired PPE, we're able to cut some of that because we're close.
Can you just quickly explain, because we all.
PPE, I'm sorry,
what PPE
personal
is.
protective equipment. And what that means is, I'm glad, thank you, Matt. Personal protective equipment is anything the firefighters wear to protect them. That means, well, on here, we have tuition and uniforms. So tuition's a weird one to go in, I'll talk about that in a minute, but uniforms, but personal protective equipment is your helmet, mask, SCBA, gloves, coat, the breathing apparatus that's on the back, that's self-contained breathing apparatus, pants,
Not underwater,
suspenders, no, boots.
But necessary.
You
Very
can,
necessary.
you actually can, yeah, but scuba gear is that's a separate, extra thing that we can't afford, but, so it's everything possible, and that's what I was talking about with the, and I apologize, I'm glad you said that, with the fire gear. That's what we're talking about, with the expired stuff, so we've replaced most of it, and we're really close, and they need 2 sets.
Yeah.
Because if you have a fire, you come back to the station, the guys that are in off duty, they cover you, you gotta get in the shower quick to wash the stuff out of your pores. That gear then goes to a washer down at our station too, to immediately you get the other gear on. We have more than 2 fires in the shift, all bets are off, that's happened, there's nothing we can do. But we're able to cut that back because we're almost there, so even, some people may not have that second set, and we're gonna try to piecemeal that. But again, that's where we have to go with it. The good thing is that the gear that we've got in the last couple of years, with all the PFAS laws now, it qualifies as the best stuff they have out there, but they're still trying to change the standards with the state, and there's like one company that makes it, and it's, right now, the reviews, it's terrible gear. It's not any like Morning Pride or any Lions or any of the normal ones. But that may be something down the road that they're gonna, any of the gear we've got, that might be terrific and it's certified right now, but 2 years from now, who knows? But that's where we can eliminate that money from, at least to get us through what we need to. So, any questions on the salary side? Those are the 3 things.
Yeah, I think you answered this, but in actual 25,
Okay.
that last line, I can't read it, 5194,
Yeah.
that jumped way up. That's when you bought the new
Let me,
gear?
go ahead, Chris, tell me again,
It-
FY '25.
Yeah, it's way down just before the break here, it's 291,672. It's way higher than ever was before.
That's when we started piecemealing the gear.
Okay.
That's when we started trying to do that,
Yeah.
because a
Right,
$385,000,
So we can
capital.
almost throw,
Yeah.
so that year, we kind of not throw it out, but I mean, it abnormal.
It's very abnormal.
Yeah.
And so our normal for us is probably gonna, well, again, it goes up actually, let me correct you on that. So the other thing too is the tuition we go in. So there's a contractual amount for the tuition for them to go
Yeah.
to college. And that increases with their pay based on, whatever
Yeah.
it is. So it's a
But
slight one.
But I'm looking at 24, and it was 91,000. So when you say 27 could be,
So 24, it was budgeted 93,000.
oh, I'm sorry.
It
It
was.
was
But if we go back further and further, it's smaller.
actual
Yeah.
24, where's actual? Part?
And I can
Yeah,
honestly
you
tell you,
piecemeal it. Yeah,
I can only
fine.
go back as far as 23.
Yeah,
Because that
okay.
was me.
Yeah, all right.
So,
But
and
I'm
23
just
I
saying
inherited.
that because you did the advance work and took care of that.
We're trying to. And
Yeah,
that's the
and
key.
that
We're
may
trying to.
mean that in 27, you can keep to that 93 number.
I don't know, I don't
Or
believe if that's gonna be the
whatever,
case, but I'll see. I can't,
99, sorry.
Yeah, no, I know what you're
Because
I think
saying.
that's what the aim is.
Yeah, that's the goal. There's
Yeah,
no
all
doubt
right.
about it. It's the goal is to try to piecemeal it. But we don't know on other things. I remember Greg last year saying to me, boy, it's like a monopoly with the fire helmets and the gear. He says, I can't believe you pay for how much you pay. And I said, I agree with you. I
And-
agree with it.
Yeah, and the line above it is similar. When I look at actual 24,
In-service training and health?
Yeah, actual 24 was only 27,000. And then 25.
That
I
was
don't think-
significantly lower.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking,
top of my
well,
head,
the 62,000 is.
Off the top of my head, I couldn't
is
tell you, Chris,
doable,
honestly.
Which is in the
Yeah.
level funded budget. I'm not saying that everything in the level funded
Absolutely.
budget is doing it, but if.
Right.
No,
we can
absolutely, and that's what we're trying to
Get those two
do.
numbers a little closer,
Yeah.
it may be a little more easy to
No,
swallow.
we're trying to be as efficient as we can, but,
Yeah.
but just this part that I just explained to you, it's gonna hurt us, Steve.
Yeah.
But the ultimate goal is, like I said, keep the 6 people we have and keep that second ambulance on the road.
And I think to kind of to Chris's point, but also to what you've been doing, we're taking away some of the things that have made us an attractive department.
100%. That's
The
my
trainings,
biggest
the things that we do. We're hoping we're taking them away very temporarily.
I hope so, because that's the biggest concern, and that's, I learned this over the years in my years here in the department, both with John and the other chiefs in the past. You're gonna get absolute 100% truth from me, you're not gonna get an embellishment. We're not gonna say we can't do something without doing it, but we're gonna be honest and say, this is it. And we're not, by doing this, we're not going to affect it. As long as we can stay with that overtime, as long as we
Yeah.
can stay there, we won't affect the second ambulance and manning. But it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, because it does. There's a lot there. We've built this team, and like I said, I'm watching them the other day, and I'm like, wow, we're really hitting on all 8 cylinders in this department, and it's a nice feeling. This is gonna be a big cut for us, so we've gotta figure out a way how to navigate through it. That's my job, and that's what I'm paid for, so. Any other questions? Sarah?
Yes, I
You
just have a
any?
quick one. When
Sure.
I'm just confused when you're saying you're like piecemealing. You guys are wearing like the proper equipment though, right? Like you're safe?
We are, everybody has one set of full fire gear that's safe, and it's not expired anymore. It was expired.
Okay,
We're working on the second sets, and we're not all the way there yet with them.
okay.
So we're hoping by the beginning of FY '27, we're hoping we can get all of them.
Okay, I just.
Does that help at all?
Yeah, I was just confused when you're like.
Just to give you an idea of the history with the fire departments, and it doesn't mean it was right, because we've been dropped on our heads a few too many times, but like when I started in the department, I had yellow pants, an old pair of boots that we found upstairs, and a coat that fit me, and the coat was 25 years old, and the stuff expired in 10 years. It's kind of what we had, you know, and I'm third generation. My father would go in with a denim coat on and a pair of boots that went up to his hips. It's just whatever the times dictate, and there were other priorities at certain points, like, you know, with Chief Nuttall, he had so many things he was trying to do to bring us back to it, and he did an incredible job. But certain things, you know what I mean? Like, for us to get to where we are, this is gonna hurt with the training and stuff, like you said, Chris and Matt, this is gonna hurt us, and my concern is that it makes us less of who we are, to no one's fault, but just the fact that we don't have the opportunities. But the gear, they're wearing safe gear now.
Okay.
We're one of the only departments in the area that I know of that might have everybody equipped with a second set that's new, or
Okay.
within the last 3 years. So, and that's what I meant by piecemeal, as far as, instead of buying it in a lump sum.
Oh, so it's just piecemeal how you
Piecemeal,
get.
that's
it.
what I meant.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked that, though. Yeah, what I mean by piecemeal is,
Yeah,
And your point was, you've done it over several years.
Correct.
Out of your operating budget.
Correct.
To save the town,
100%.
was it actually
it was like
voted?
385.
Was it
right around
actually
there.
voted?
No, we never got to
No,
that.
so
I
we
pulled the
never,
request
we
back.
pulled the request, we
I
were
pulled it
going
back.
to request 385,000.
Mm-hmm.
We pulled the request back because you figured out a way to
Correct.
do that out of your operating budget,
Yeah,
which
and I
is
gotta-
saved the town that.
Well, I've got an accountant and I've got a town manager that pretty much told us that in the next 3 or 4 years, this is what we're gonna be facing financially with this, and we know what the goal years are to get to.
Yeah.
So it was try to find ways outside the box to kind of get to where we need to be.
And it's impressive.
Well,
that
thank
you've
you,
been able to do that.
but it's cooperation of everybody in-house. It's the members, and they get it and they understand it. and
Absolutely.
Some of them it's like a security blanket, though. They have it all broken in, and some of them would rather wear that 15-year-old stuff that looks like it belongs in a dumpster. So the deal is, listen, we worked hard to get here. if you show up at a fire with that old stuff, you're in trouble. And it's not, but wash it, do whatever you gotta do, but, and the new stuff's never as comfortable as the old stuff, that's just how it is, but, you know, we've got to
It's like
improve.
when you get a new pair of sneakers, you
That's
gotta pack them
exactly,
in.
that's exactly it. It's just one of those things where it's like, oh, it's comfortable, and when they measure you, they custom measure you too. And this stuff's expensive. They'll literally sit there and tell you like this, and they'll measure you from here to here to here. You know, so some of us that, sometimes it shrinks a little bit as you get older, but some of them don't. And so you always leave a little bit of space, because you never know what's gonna happen, and, but, yeah, no, they've all got the right stuff.
Okay.
And I'm glad you said that,
I
because
just wanted to make sure I was
when I meant piecemeal, I
understanding.
meant exactly what Matt said, piecemeal, getting it little by little over the last couple of years. Yeah, we weren't grabbing like a 30-year-old helmet with this and kind of shoving it. That's how it used to be, honestly, that's how it used to be. Anyways, that's the salary side on it. Any other questions on the salary portion?
Do you do 4 shifts,
We do 4 groups,
6
yes.
members,
Correct.
and then that's per shift? And then if you lose a member
If we
for
lose
one of them,
If we lost a member, that means there's no second ambulance that day.
it's
we-
6 or no
It's 6 or
second ambulance?
nothing, yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I just wanted everyone to know.
And people had talked about it before. I think Greg had brought up a couple of years ago, and he said, if we got you more people, couldn't we just cut the overtime? And like completely, I said, no, you'll never be able to, because we rely on off-duty help on certain things, but also it could be change of shift, and we've got to fill for vacation stuff. And I said, to realistically do that, you're hiring at least 8 people. And with the cost of benefits and everything else, it's not worth it.
Yeah, this is
It's tough.
This has been a real, between fire and police, the overtime budget has been a real learning experience for me since coming on this committee. That it's not simply, if we add person and person and person, the overtime
Yeah.
drifts, like you were mentioning, some of the things that we wouldn't potentially be able to do, like mutual aid, and talking about, if you send 6 people out, you have to backfill those 6 people. So if we've hired, we still have to bring them in off shift if we've sent
Yeah.
the whole shift out.
Right, just to
To
give
go
you an
do
idea,
something.
like, so if we go mutual
So-
aid for a fire, if they call for an engine to, say, Braintree, it's a working fire, myself or the deputy, or both of us go. 4 people in the engine, so everybody that's at Station 1 goes, because the national standard is you're supposed to have 4. We have 2 per truck. We're going mutual aid, we need 4 people to stay, because it's unfamiliar territory, it might be a building in Brockton that we're not familiar with. We automatically get that. We're hoping guys are coming in off duty, but not necessarily the case. Captain Cotter, there's no residency requirement, you'd never be able to hire people if that was the case. But like Captain Cotter, he lives in Middleborough, he come in for that Rockland one. He manned the station, we had the 2 people that were still at Station 2 in the ambulance, we had 3 other off-duty members come in. He reorganized everybody so that the town was now covered. And we were pulling ambulance strike teams, and from all around the state. The strike team is 5 ambulances. We pulled, I think, 6 or 7. And it was a revolving door coming through, and one of my captains, who we tease all the time, that, we tell him he's like John Candy on Wally World, they say, sorry, folks, the park's closed. He was in his element. We put him at the entrance and said, you're controlling traffic, Cap, come to me. And he's like, you stop, you go. But we have to fill those positions. You're exactly right.
With the new fire department being built, I don't remember, are the other 2 stations being closed?
It's all gonna be condensed. What they're
Yeah.
doing with the buildings, that's not up to me.
Yeah.
But we're condensing the 2.
Would that be easier then if you had to send calls out to have that one stationed? Or
It's
it
gonna
makes no
be,
difference?
well, easier in what regard?
Keeping it manned if a engine had to go out and you had to call in?
No, 'cause it's gonna be the same number either way.
Yeah, okay.
We'll look at different ways that we can, but it's not gonna make a difference. It's just the difference is, instead of having 2 stations here with people split up, they're right here.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the same amount because we're short-staffed, and it's the norm for around the state. Unless you're Brockton or Boston or Quincy, everybody's running into it. Rockland and neighbors next door, I think they probably have 1 extra person per shift. But yeah, we're still gonna have to do it, but we're gonna look at everything. We've actually talked to our staff the other day and said, we're gonna see what we can do to try to really make it efficient. It's the unknown, we don't know.
So I think to that question, so
Sure.
typically you will have is it 4 people in Station 1 and 2 people in Station 2?
Correct. Yeah, so what, you have the
So
officer.
with the new station, when it's open, all 6 people will be in the same place.
Correct.
Which will be better because all 6 people are in the same place.
Correct.
But that's really the only difference.
Yeah.
But call-wise, it won't change anything. It really won't.
Yeah.
It's the thing, the good thing is it's centrally located, and that was, as you folks, anybody's been following this for 6 years, this project, we finally found a home after being evicted from a couple other possibilities. So we're happy, and it's great to see the DPW building, see the steel going up. It's terrific. But yeah, it won't change anything as far as our response this time. So, all right. Anybody else on the salary side? Okay. Expense side, this is a little bit strange, but it's just a matter, we had to kind of try to pair to get to the number. If I can start, the first line item is the, is it 5290, the other property related expenses. So that's where we were able to pare some things down. That line item encapsulates a bunch of different things. Things like NFPA books that we have to have in the station that are required with mileage for people that are going anywhere. Any type of like new hires, overflow stuff, physicals, even something as simple as keys and key fobs, drinking water, anything along those lines. And hopefully we'll eliminate the drinking water with the new station the following year because we're gonna have a filtration system, which is nice. That's where we took the 12,454 from. Skipping down to the radio budget, 5344. That one's interesting because a year ago, we got a grant for all the radios. They're expensive. And so what we did was, we cut the 9510 out of it. We left just enough money to pay for one replacement portable if something goes wrong. And it was interesting because Scott's got a background with it. When I told him about it, he goes, it's $6,500 for a radio? I said, it absolutely is. It's ridiculous. That's the money. We got all those, Captain Cotter wrote a grant for the radios, like 350-something thousand a couple of years ago. We're hoping everything works fine, and some stuff's warranted, but we have enough batteries. He did all that in the grant, but we have to have just enough for one radio in case something happens, because we have just enough for everybody. We don't have extras floating around. It was just, when you get that grant, they base it on the number of people you have, or like, say, if we were going for a breathing apparatus, the number of riding seats, they call it. So if a fire engine has 5 riding seats and you only 2 staff members, you can get 5. Radios, it's not like that. Radios, it's per person. That's how it is. So we couldn't get any extras, and you try to finagle batteries in there at certain prices and things like that, which we did. But so that's where that line up, we dropped the 9510 out of it. The final one, this is going to be probably the biggest challenge of the entire budget beyond the overtime, vehicle supplies. We had to find another way to get another 20,000 just to squeeze it out of the budget. The EMS supplies, that comes out of that budget as well too. Our EMS supplies have stayed where they're supposed to be, but one of the area hospitals now is going to be, they're threatening to charge us for sheets. So we bring someone in with a sheet, we drop them off, they give us a key fob, and we get a little paper disposable sheet in return, and they wanted to charge us. We've been fighting it. We're pretty much held them off at least now for the next 6 months because the Chiefs Association said, pretty sure you're under Medicare, you're being reimbursed for that. So amazingly, with the letter from the attorney, that backed off for now. But if something like that comes in, that's going to bump us up about $7,000 in that budget.
Was that $7 per patient?
Get it? Where'd you get that from?
In September, you made a speech.
Perfect.
I listened.
I'm glad. No, I'm glad you said that.
Floyd does his research.
I love that. Honestly, I love that, Floyd. I was impressed with that. So we met as a group and we found alternatives in Plymouth County, and we have some ideas in place that if we have to, we could probably do it for about $450 a person. That being said, we're not there yet, so that's okay, but that's something that I'm concerned about. The biggest thing that I'm concerned about with that budget, the vehicle supplies, is the new engines. So we have the 2 newest engines and the tower truck with all the emissions stuff. Marcus is the only mechanic we have. He's amazing, but he can't keep us on the road all the time with every other vehicle there. A lot of times, he'll evaluate something and look at it and say, this is gonna be a 3-day job. We have to send it out to like specialty vehicles and do it. And the cost of that's crazy. Like at the end of last year, as I was saying to Scott, I said, the only thing that was scaring me was coming up to the end. We literally held off on tires on an engine. We held off for 3 months to get us through the budget. And I'm like, okay, now we can get them finally. We made it through. They call it Chiefs New Year, July 1st. The church town meetings do the same thing. Everybody texts each other and says, hey, Happy New Year, guys. You survived. We did that with the tires. And we got off to a tough start so far this year with the vehicles. Again, I don't want to jinx, but I'll just say it's leveled right now, and I'm hoping it's going to trend in that direction. But the problem is with the newer emission stuff, everything has to go through like the specialty dealerships now. Like Marcus is incredible, and our guys in-house that can do the small things like Anthony and Kenny, they
So
can do stuff.
As a quick
Yeah.
point for anybody who doesn't know who Marcus is.
I'm so sorry. Marcus is a town mechanic, and I don't know if it's a politically correct thing to say, but he is like a one-armed wallpaper hanger. This man does more with less. He's incredible. Is that okay? Does that fall into that?
Probably just offended a lot of,
I apologize with that. Let's just say.
No, I think he's complimenting
Okay.
one-armed wallpaper.
Absolutely. But they do more with less. It's
maybe you
incredible.
offended the mechanic.
No.
Offended two-armed wallpaper hangers.
That's true. That's possible, but he's incredible. And he's so busy that we have to actually have a certain service day per week. So like we're Wednesdays. But an emergency situation comes up, he drops what he's doing. He can be 10 o'clock at night, he's showing up at our station because something locked up. He's incredible. But their staffing affects our staffing. And as far as like, not staffing, but our apparatus with it. So he's incredible, and he does as much as he can. But there's certain things you just can't. And the newer apparatus is what we're running into the problems with.
more things like
That's
that.
what it is. And I think back to the former chief, John Nuttall, and he says, God, I wish they would do some kind of a waiver for government vehicles to just tear that emission stuff off, that it's really not making a huge dent in what they're trying to do for clean air stuff, but it's creating such a problem for all of us, and the cost is unbelievable. Like I can do a repair on the engine, and there's certain things they have to do to meet with it, and we're gonna get a bill for $18,000. Take a look at that budget, and you think about all the vehicles we have, it goes fast. So that's the concern I have with that,
Yep.
but we're doing the best we can, and based on projection, it's just strictly projection. I may be 3 months from now talking to Mike Maresco and Andrew going, help. But we're hoping the things we've done, that'll get us to a level funded, if we can meet all these things that we're going for. I'm hoping for this year that we're in now, with the 2 hires we had that were plug and play, I'm hoping at the end of the year, maybe we get as lucky as we did last year for our budget. I'm hoping that, but I can't guarantee it. But this is the best we can do with that level funded. Things are tough, and I know
Yeah.
that, and I know that. We're trying to be as efficient as we can, and when I was talking with, the interim town manager, I said, that there's 3 goals that I have as a leader, and I want to hear what, you expect from me. I said, I need to keep my people safe, I need to keep our residents safe, and I need to keep an efficient budget, those 3. We'll do the very best we can. That's all we can do. We gotta be honest about it, so. I flapped my gums for a while. Any questions from you guys?
Questions?
I don't think there's an answer here.
Sure.
And I'm not expecting an answer.
Sure.
But do we know how much the ambulance revenue is?
Mm-hmm.
Do we know how much it costs us to run the ambulances?
That's something I could try to figure out for you. I don't have it off the top of my
I'm not even
head.
sure, that's
Yeah.
up to these guys. I don't
Yeah.
want to take your time.
No,
To
totally.
do something like that.
Chris, this
But
is
if-
what I'm here
if-
for.
If it's important, it's just
Yeah.
something that
So-
comes to my head.
It's a complicated formula.
Right.
Before you were on the board, before you were even here, we had the ambulances as an enterprise account. And we had to remove them from being an enterprise account, and there were a lot of reasons, but it was when what the state required when running them as an enterprise account was treating everyone who worked on the ambulance as an employee of the ambulance. And so their salary, their health care, their benefits all factored into the cost of running the ambulance. When you look at if you take the staffed fire department as is, and you put just the ambulance costs to the side, the ambulances
You
make,
can't do that. That's
the
okay.
ambulances make money. When you factor in the staffing and things, it's a different equation.
It's difficult.
But one of the things that it allowed us to do when we added on the second ambulance was bring the shift back up to 6 people per shift.
Yeah. So maybe a better way I can explain it to you is we're gonna be here as a fire department, we need the staffing, but every member of the department's cross-trained as a paramedic, so we can do both.
Is that necessary?
Yeah, absolutely, 100% is. But
It costs money to have everyone be a paramedic. I assume they get paid more.
it does,
Yeah.
but when you take that into account, as opposed to if you didn't have the ambulance, you have to sign a contract with a private ambulance company.
Yes, yeah.
Just to give you a round number, they're gonna charge you $1 million plus a year to supply you with ambulances. They regionally space them out, so they may not get there right away. They then take any of the revenue that comes in as well. So it's a double jeopardy thing. You have us as firefighters who are cross-trained as paramedics, who can do the ambulance at the same time too and jump over there. So we don't pay that 1 million plus in a contract to someone else to take our revenue. And in turn, we have our fire department that's cross-trained, provides the best care, knows our residents, and keeps that revenue. It's a
Yeah.
huge win
But
for the town.
Some towns, and like Brockton, they don't run the ambulances
They
themselves.
don't, and I won't speak directly for the fire chief, but I've known him for 30 years, and I bet you if you got him in a private moment, he'd tell you, I wish we always had the ambulance. Because most of the chiefs, and I won't speak for Brian, but most of the chiefs that don't have it or lost it, said it was the worst mistake we made, because for the town, you're gaining the service, but more importantly, you're not giving away revenue and paying someone to take your revenue. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's one of those things, because years ago, when we had to close one of the stations for like 3 months, and it was a horrible time. A private ambulance came in and said, yeah, we'll give it to you. You know, we won't charge anything, we'll just take the revenue. It was almost like here, there's no cost, it's 12 cents a month here for your cell phone. But the fine print says in 6 months, we're charging you this much. And it's nothing against them, that's their business, but for us, being cross-trained is huge, because you get your firefighters, you're able to maintain your firefighters, but you get your paramedics, the highest trained emergency care you can get, and you get that income. It's a win all the way across the board, and any chief in any other community that's worth their salt, and I'll call them out on it right now if they denied it, but they will tell you the best thing you can do is have an ambulance service, and the worst thing you can do is give it up or not have it, because it benefits your community and your residents so much, both financially and in life saved. So I don't know if that helps at all.
Well, like I said, it's just trying to figure out ways to save money,
100%.
and
I don't envy you guys. I don't envy Scott or Andrew or.
yeah, we talked about
Yeah.
offloading the trash service. This is something else that there are people out there who you can contract with, but
Yeah.
doesn't
No,
mean it makes sense. It just-
Absolutely.
Right.
And this is what I'm here for, Chris, is I
Yeah.
want to answer these questions. I appreciate the question,
Yeah.
because it gives me an opportunity to explain it.
Is
Yeah.
it different than a smaller community than a larger community or a city?
What do you mean?
Like if Quincy's doing it or if Brockton's doing it, is because they're larger
A lot of-
population, and so for our town, it makes sense to keep it?
Well, I think I think you're onto something. I mean, it's just an opinion, Floyd, but I think that's the case, because if you look at, say, someone like Quincy or Brockton, they would have to buy so many trucks and maintain so many trucks. Their manning's already up there. Their people are already up there. I had a friend that left Pembroke Fire that I grew up with, and he went to Brockton Fire. And I said, what's the difference? He retired. He said, you know the difference? We run the same fires. The difference is Pembroke, we were doing it with 2 guys on the truck. I show up at a fire now and there's 15 guys standing around in the stairwell going, hey, this is kind of cool. It's different. So they're going to have that manning, but the skill level isn't quite as much. And I think the same thing for the ambulances. I think that it's a bigger headache for a lot of these communities. And again, I wouldn't speak necessarily for Brockton, but I have spoken recently to 2 different smaller towns, that one's smaller than us, one's about the same size, and said the worst thing we did was not have the ambulance. You have to change with the times, and we're 75% of us right now are calls. It's EMS, but it helps us maintain the fire stuff. And you could have an EMT, which is basic EMT, nothing against anything, and they're limited with certain things. Paramedics, we can administer up to 60 medications, and we're the emergency room in the truck, talking with the docs. So you never want to even risk that. And I would go to my grave telling people that, based on our experience in that short time where I think it was a month or 2, we closed Station 2, I think it was 2003. The revenue we lost was unbelievable. And it snowballs, you know what I mean? So it's like, if we're 6 person, one shift, we don't have the ambulance, it snowballs. And then you know what I'm saying? We're so tight as far as everything that we have to do. One thing works after the other. It's similar to like when we go to a fire or cardiac arrest. It's like everything has to work in a link that makes things happen. And that's kind of where we're at.
My brother was deputy chief in Brockton for years, and he started on the
What's his
ambulance.
first name?
Tim Murphy.
Okay, I know that. I actually have met him before.
Yeah.
So I do know him.
Small world.
Everybody knows everybody. Yep. Yeah. Anything else at all? And Abby, there's no dumb questions, honest to God.
I asked a lot of
No, you
dumb
asked a lot of
questions.
questions.
No, you ask a lot of
That's
good
what
questions.
that's what we're here for.
As I've told you before, if you have the question, there's probably a bunch of people at home watching. that also
My
have it.
toxic trait is definitely that I just can't keep my questions in
I don't call that a
sometimes.
toxic
That's not
trait,
at all.
believe me. You get to be my age, you learn a lot of toxic traits, and that's certainly not a toxic
Asking
thing at all.
questions is
Not
not
at all.
one.
No. 2 things I wanted to finish up with. One, I'm really happy because this time last year, I got interrupted to go to a fire right in the middle.
Oh, yes.
So,
That
remember
was-
that? Remember that? And
That was
and I
wild.
remember Barbara going, that's kind of cool. Did he really stage that? I'm like, no, it was legit.
It's with the laundromat.
Yeah.
Yes.
The phone went off, and I'm like, okay, when this one's ringing, this is like the Commissioner Gordon line. I have to go. And I remember Matt going, oh, go there. So I'm happy about that. And
Yeah, you
second of all,
made it through, that's good.
yeah. Second of all, I didn't really get a chance too much with the selectmen meeting the other night, but for anybody who's watching the FinCom at home, thank you, Andrew, for everything you do.
Absolutely.
The last handful of years, you've been put on the spot with a lot of different things, and we're lucky to have people like you in the town that have done things, but just as importantly, I'm gonna miss this guy tremendously, both as a leader and a person. He has pulled this town together in so many ways, and I think when you're outside, when you're not hearing about anything that's negative, you don't notice it, and that's where it's ideal. And I always compare, I do baseball analogies with Scott, and I tell him he's the Joe Torre of town managers. And for anybody that is a sports fan, Joe Torre had all these all-stars and all these egos, and he managed them so well, because everybody said he should win. They've got a million of these all-stars. Try managing all the personalities. That's Scott, and I'm gonna miss him tremendously, but between him and Andrew and what you guys do, it's been incredible. So,
I'm going to maybe argue, and based on location and attractiveness, go with Tito Francona.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I just do the Joe Torre thing because I hate the Yankees. But I said, and I hate to see him go.
Yeah.
Final thing, make sure you eat those before they melt. So, all right, seriously, thank you guys for what you do.
Chief,
It's
thank
not
you.
easy,
This is
you know?
clearly not easy, but you have clearly put a lot of time and a lot of
Thank you.
effort. and-
We as a team.
And you've explained it very well.
Thank you. And if we have any questions, by all means, I know Floyd, you're our liaison on that back, but by all means, reach out to me on any questions you have with it, and, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See you, boss.
Sure.
All right, that ends our new business part of our agenda. Standing business liaison reports. Anyone have anything?
I'm falling out.
I actually have one from Barbara. Sorry, no, that's not a liaison report. That's something else that she got from the police.
I have a procedural question.
Yes.
When we do these, well, when the town meeting does these overrides, votes, they're gonna, it's on or off, right? It's not, there's no, I can see, there's 200, I'm just picking on them because it's fresh in my head. There's $275,000 difference here between the level funded and the level service. The town can't say
150.
150.
Somebody could,
Somebody could
Amend
at town
at town
meeting.
meeting can amend it to a lower number. Once it's published, they won't be able to amend it to a higher number.
Okay.
But at town meeting, somebody could make a motion to amend it, but the
But
ballot will
with
have
the
already been
override,
chosen.
I was going to say, with the override, town meeting has to approve what is motioned to go to the ballot. And then what's on the ballot gets voted on, yes, no.
Okay.
Yeah,
But at town meeting, it could be argued to say, like, say this is 275, and you're like, well, they really only need 225. Or these particular things you would get for
Yeah.
this specific amount.
Yeah,
And so someone
would
could
be
do that,
interesting.
but that would be to the people at town meeting to then vote on that amendment to the motion.
and if
So-
it passed, the ballot would still read the higher amount, however, the appropriation would only be the lower amount. So I wonder if the actual override is that higher amount that just sort of sits out there in limbo.
You'd have to vote that difference in order to use it.
So we'd have to do it at like a fall
special,
special town
yeah.
meeting.
Yep. Or special before annual.
I think it's more
Yeah.
for,
Annual.
when we're
If you
talking
wanted
March,
to wait a whole,
Yeah.
so sometime in March or
we've-
so,
Sorry, real
Oh,
quick, just to
sorry.
finish that point, we've had prior warrant article money that we've voted on reappropriating like 7 years later, so you never know.
Yeah, I know,
What ends up happening.
so those two numbers will be determined in March by whom?
March/April.
March, April.
By,
By
actual
this
budget.
committee or,
Well, this committee, I mean, ultimately, so the numbers that are going to appear on the warrant,
yeah,
I would assume, like we've always done, this committee and your town manager,
Yeah.
well, the finance will have a budget
okay.
that you guys will make a recommendation for. And I'm assuming everybody will be on the same page, including
Yeah.
the selectmen and the school committee, and
Okay.
because if, walking into that town meeting, if everybody isn't on the same page with all those numbers,
Yeah, no,
It's gonna make-
I'm just
very difficult. But
somewhat
yeah.
hypothetical, but I'm just looking at this, I could, I would argue that
Sorry.
whoever it is should try to get those numbers as close as they can,
Yes.
if they could, but,
Yep.
but I think they are. I'm not saying anyone isn't, but,
I have a question. So the money is being voted on is for the general fund, which can be used, anything that we need to pay to balance the budget. So let's say, I'm using low numbers, the fire department's 15,000, and they vote, yeah, fire department 15,000, but that money goes into the general fund. Is
So
it appropriated specifically?
the way we're going to be doing it, like, yes, it is part of the general fund, but the way we're voting on it at town meeting is, we have our level funded budget. If the override happens, we have a contingent appropriation. So the fire department would get that money if the town votes for it.
Okay,
Because that's all that it's appropriated for.
all right.
yeah.
right,
At
so.
subsequent
so-
town meetings.
And I'll
Yes,
give,
and that is why
Yes.
I mention it.
yeah, so I will give you
Is that the-
one of the examples that I was thinking of when talking about the prior town meeting stuff. There was money appropriated for a lift to help with handicap accessibility at the Frollo ages ago. And
Caravanter, right?
the Garavanter lift. And it never ended up being something that would work in the building. And you can't spend that money on anything else other than what town meeting appropriated the money for. Unless you go back to town meeting and say, we are going to take this money from this thing that town meeting previously set aside, and we are going to set it to something else. You can go back and say, we want this money set into the general fund, I believe. Do you know?
So for a prior warrant article?
Yeah.
You can just release it.
Yep. But you can't do that without another vote from town meeting.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And the override is for that year,
Yes.
but because it's that, once it's in the budget, when you do the 2.5% the next year, it includes that and it can go anywhere.
Right.
Yes.
I think
However-
I asked that question less for me and more for town.
However, they seem to have a really good, long memory in this town.
I know,
Oh, yeah.
that's why I asked that, because the trash people seem to think that that's not true, but
But it's technically is true. Yeah, we lost that fight, so.
okay.
So,
Sorry.
other liaison reports?
No.
As I mentioned and gave the sneak preview of before, there is no correspondence. We don't have any new meeting minutes to vote on. And I talked briefly with Andrew before we started the meeting. There are no departments scheduled for next Wednesday.
Correct.
So we think that we are good to not meet next Wednesday. We will not meet on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve because that would be dumb.
That would be not ideal.
But I'm out.
By this
Which
point,
means, Scott,
Oh.
thank you an incredible amount for all that you have done over the last 5 years. It has been a pleasure working with you, and you have really done a great job for the town.
I appreciate that, and I will say that this committee, and especially under, all of you folks in past and present, has been an extreme pleasure to work with, too. And I've met with several other towns' finance committees, and this one is by far the best one ever. So you guys, and I say it, and I always apologize to the selectmen for saying it, but I'll always say it, this is the hardest working committee in the town and one of the most important. And if people aren't paying attention to this committee and what you're doing and what comes out of here, shame on them, because this is where they'll get the answers. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
And thank you, Andrew, because I definitely couldn't do it
Yeah,
without
the
you.
best thing you did was you hired Andrew.
Yeah.
Right?
I will say, I have continually been impressed by the people you have brought in to work with you.
It is an
So,
amazing, amazing group here, for sure.
So
Take it.
that brings us to January 7th. Are we aiming for January 7th for the next
I haven't booked
next
anyone.
group? Haven't booked anyone, but that will be the aim.
Yes.
Is January 7th.
We've met with over half the departments by this point, and it's still December, so we're
Which
doing-
is really ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So,
Especially since we pushed town meeting out,
yes.
right? So now,
Appropriately.
appropriate.
Town meeting.
Well, that's why I'm leaving, because you're not gonna follow my.
I will point out my argument for pushing town meeting out has always been the numbers that are not in our control that we don't get until later in the process. If we had all of those numbers well ahead of the beginning of April, I would be fine with the beginning of April, because that gives us a longer break. But
Is there any, I know this has only been 2 days removed, is there any update on the certified free cash through the Department of Revenue or the party that we're working with?
No updates yet.
Sorry.
I will point out to people listening and watching at home, do you know when the deadline is for people applying to be on the town manager search committee?
Actually, I just had it
I
up.
thought it was the 15th, sticks in my mind.
They're meeting on the 17th.
It'll be the committee is meeting, the selectmen.
The selectmen are
the
meeting
select
to
board.
make their, I think that they're gonna make the announcement of who the committee members are.
I know the plan is for the first meeting of that committee to be at 7 PM on January 5th. Also, to that end, and this was not on the agenda, but I was rereading the wording of our appointment to that committee, and it did specifically state by vote of the finance committee, and I don't think we officially voted.
No, that's true.
Do you-
I did read that
So I
too.
do need a motion,
I motion to put Mr. Sala on that committee.
and again, you can call me Matt. Is there a second? to
I
Effie's
second
motion?
that.
You can call me Mr. Saul.
If you're willing to do that, I'll call you Mr. Sala.
Yeah, right. You're taking a good one for the team.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on the matter? Without any discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, the motion passes.
And the due date for at-large is Monday, December 15th, if anybody,
Okay, so I.
Out in the
for some-
community.
Somehow my memory was correct on that. So for anyone watching this, if you are interested in reaching out to potentially serve on the town manager search committee, please send a
there's a,
request.
they can go online, or they can stop by town hall.
Yep.
And drop something off, but certainly they can go online and fill out the request form.
Yep, there's a request form on the town website, and you can also come into town hall, talk to, I would assume, the town clerk.
Could probably come and see Nancy up
Okay.
in the selectman's office.
Okay.
Nancy would be the best person.
So.
Or I'll be there too. Come and talk to me.
Yeah. And thank you for anyone who is interested and looking to potentially serve on that committee as well.
Or the finance committee.
Or the finance
yeah, we
committee,
have
again.
two
We have
vacancies.
2 vacancies that we would really, really like someone to fill.
And that
So-
part where I said they're the only really hardworking one, it's easy, don't worry.
It is super easy.
Super easy.
In-
We get fudge.
It's super easy in between town meeting and the beginning of the next budget season. It's not as easy, but it's also very important.
It is extremely.
We would happily accept applications which go to the town moderator, Sean Riley.
That is correct. And I believe they can do that online also.
Yes. And I believe Sean's information is online if they just want to find that and then reach out to him. And anyone who has questions can reach out to me as well. So, and you can do that through the town website too.
See? It's a pretty good website
It
you guys
is.
have.
There's a lot on it.
It
another
is
thing.
indeed. So next meeting, January 7th, we will hear from Andrew at some point between now and then as to who will be joining us then.
Yes.
But unfortunately, Scott will not be
I will
joining
not
us.
be- If
We will
anybody
have our-
needs
we will
anything,
have
have
our-
any questions, feel free to reach out.
We will hopefully have our interim town manager here with us then.
Yes, he actually apologized. He would have liked to have been here tonight, just, kind of came up
Okay.
quick for him,
Yeah.
so. He is looking
He's been-
forward to meeting with you.
He's been on the interim sort of job for a few days at this point,
Yeah.
so it doesn't surprise me that he might not have been able to make this meeting, so. Any other topics? Things people want to bring up, motions?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Floyd. Any discussion? Without any, all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
All those opposed, abstaining, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much. We'll see you in the
you.
new year.